Hello beautiful people and welcome back to another episode of Numbers Don't Lie. That's exactly what we are doing in this episode. We're gonna test more possible marches, and these marches are coming from you guys. In other words, I have read your comments on yesterday's video in which a lot of you guys ask how about this certain hero setup. So that's exactly what we're gonna do in this episode. But before we start, I have to make two important announcements. Number one, a couple of you guys said I really would like to see Mr. Duke instead of Lila. And let me briefly explain you why. Beautiful people, we have two videos on this channel. One is this over there and the other one is that over there, in which I am explaining why Duke is inferior to Lila, not to mention Striker and Shinji. So that's why I have prioritized Lila, and I'm gonna show you something also super important. Where is Duke right now in TOPWAR and where will Duke be in the future also on your account? And this is exactly where he is gonna end up being on a second march. Somewhere in this case, this is my second Air Force march, while you're also looking at the best Air Force march right there, Brady, Shinji, and Abad, simply because Duke has a great synergy with Cranston and Kai. Now, if you missed those episodes, please guys, go watch them in order to understand this even better. But in other words, I keep saying that Duke is not a bad hero for a simple reason, because he has 2 rounds of indestructible buff, just like Lila, just like Striker and Shinji. But Striker and Shinji are no longer obtainable, and thank God Lila is not a collaboration hero. So what's gonna happen in the near future is River Game will probably gonna wake up, bring some more heroes with at least 2 rounds of indestructible buff, but this time these heroes will gonna hit all slots, not like Duke hitting the lowest priority slots possible, which are the back rows. So as soon as we're gonna have those heroes, and we definitely speculate we're gonna have at least one this year, Duke will gonna fall like a sack of potatoes. Good. Now to the second important statement, which also has to be done. If you have watched yesterday's video, nothing has changed since yesterday. So I have the same setup, I haven't done any upgrades, and on top the opponent is literally the same. So in other words, if you have taken a screenshot from yesterday's battle reports, you can compare every single number in there with the numbers which you are about to see here. Good. Now we are ready to start with 5 different setups which you guys recommended that I should test in order to see what values we can achieve. So the first one is, Lila with MeowZilla and Asuka. Now let me put the battle results on the screen. And of course, explain you a couple of things. First of all, I would like to keep this standard in which I'm marking all the fields in red in which my opponent still has minimum 70% of units still alive, which is in other words a bad performance. But you have to understand why, because Asuka is a fantastic hero. It's by far one of the best heroes we have in TOPWAR right now, but not in this configuration. Her offensive buff capability is not enough for her to do the job. So that's also the explanation, and of course we see the average performance of this match being at 77%. Again, you can compare these numbers with the battle reports from yesterday's video. The next March setup you guys asked me to test is Lila with Crimson and Asuka, and we're gonna do that. But what you're already noticing here, far more fields are marked in red. Because again, that's the main issue. All the heroes are great, Lila, Crimson, Asuka, but we need a strong offense buffing hero, and Asuka cannot fulfill this job. Good. We have more battle reports, beautiful people. And the next one is MeowZilla, Crimson, and Stromway. Also very interesting, in this case, we don't have an indestructible shield, but we do have MeowZilla in Crimson, both with health enhancement, which they stack by the way. So the question is, how does the performance look like? And here are the numbers. And you see the best performance I have reached with this setup is 58% of units still left on my opponent. And the worst performance, well, that's all over the screen. But you guys asked me to test a different setup, which is MeowZilla with Maple and Stromway. And let's put those beta reports on the screen. The best performance possible is 42% of units still left on my opponent. And yeah, the worst performance possible is pretty much again all over the screen. But good. A few people also ask, Timmy, what about you testing again Lila with Crimson and Stromway, simply because we have the data from yesterday, from that video. Let's see this again. And here is the best performance possible with 35% units on my opponent still being alive, and the average performance of this March reaches 71%. So beautiful people, these are the battle reports for today's episode. Of course, we're gonna do some more tests, there's no question about it, but please bear in mind, I need a couple of hours of relaxation. Then, of course, today the loot quest is starting, so I have to minimum record the session and play it, of course. And we also want to talk about the Masteries, which is the new event River Game has announced yesterday, because it has a few very solid points in there. So anyways, beautiful people, I hope this video helped you clarify some more of your questions. But if you still have questions, jump in the comments and ask them. I will gonna try my best to answer them as soon as possible. And here is a small request from my side. There are a lot of players out there which have minimum as much knowledge as I have, and some of them even more than I have. So if you are stumbling upon some comments on these videos which are not yet answered by me and you really wanna help me a lot, then you can answer those questions and help those players, because that's my biggest fear. The longer a player has to wait for an answer, the higher the risks are that a player can make a mistake. And this is a mobile war game, which means mistakes often also represents spending money on something which you don't need. So beautiful people, yes, thank you for watching. Don't forget to see me in the next episode. Support what supports you back, which is this channel. Subscribe and share with your friends. And don't forget to see me in the next episode. Ciao guys.